Hey guys, this is Raj Pakhare, and it's been a long time. I was really busy, and I got so many mails, I got so many requests for the rappelling effect tutorial. So I had to make this tutorial for you guys. And I got many requests on my website, on Facebook, Vimeo. So we will be working on this file. So it will look something like this. It's all made in thinking particles, Radius Max, and with some lighting and all. It looks cool with motion blur and After Effects. So there's so much detail. It took almost one day for the simulation for thinking particles. So we won't be able to make this much detail, but at least you'll get the logic behind it. You can see there's motion blur. Okay, time to rock and roll. So we'll start with the very basic setup, and later on we'll start adding more and more details. I'll start with the box. Okay, let's start with the text. Wrap, and I'll place it in the center. Wrap actually is my initials. It's Raj Pakhare. It's not related to any music thing. So I'm going to extrude this. Try to keep it simple. Don't try to use any complex font. It will take more time for thinking particles to fracture it. I'm going to use typograph. Maybe bold, extra bold. Some kerning. So let's create a floor for this. Now, usually you should always create a proxy mesh, and you should work on that proxy mesh. You should never try directly on the complex object. So I'm just going to make a box which is almost the size of the text, and a bounding box, and we'll do the simulation on this, and later on we'll just change the source. I'm going to hide this, and let's make a floor, and again it will be a box, a little longer, and let's name this as floor. And this it's a proxy. We can change the source later on. And I'm gonna need wind, so I'll create it right now and place it roughly. And now we can start with the thinking particle. Properties. Let me resize it a little bit. Okay, so this is a dynamic set, and we'll create some groups, and let's rename the groups. So this will be a static group, then frags, so which will the objects will fragment. Then we'll need forces, which will include wind and gravity. You can delete this one. So static, I usually make it red, orange. Frags maybe green. So as soon as they're activated, you can see it visually, the wireframe. And we don't need any color for the forces. For the dynamic set, let's start with the birth. And we need to add these objects in the birth. So right click, operators, generators, and object to particle. Pick, start with the floor, and add this in the floor group, or maybe it's a static. We can make actually a group called floor, or for now let's use it in static. Later on we'll change it. Object to particle, instance shape, and height. And you need to change to none and show mesh, and I'll turn off edit on fly. Okay, so it's right in color as the statics group color. Need one more, so I'll just shift and drag, remove and pick our proxy. I can just click it. Okay, so this is our main object. I think we should better create a different group. I'll name it as floor, and change your floor to floor group. Change the color, and okay, this is my static object to particle, instance shape, and height. Okay, so now it's all absorbed into thinking particles. Let's proceed. Now we'll need dynamics. So maybe this is dynamic fracture. And in this, we'll actually fragment this mesh. So I'm going to need my static group, and need a volume breaker break. So what it will do is it will fracture only the static group, which is a proxy mesh. We need to check the fragmentation parameters, and again this static group is converting into frag groups. Okay, so for now you won't see the changes unless and until you increase the activate amount. So you can adjust it later on. And for now, what I want this to animate from right side to left. So I'm going to use this my point helper, which will act as an activator. So wherever I move this, it will start fragmenting and fly away. So it's animating from right to left. Send this activator. So we can include this in a volume breaker. So to scroll down, we'll find a parameter for use helper. So we need to activate that. So pick the helper, and you can see it's turning green. That means it's going into group frags. So wherever the point helper is, it's changing into frag group. Let's increase the fragmentation. Reduce the raster percentage. Increase the density. So you can see it's changing into green. It's activating. So what we can do is we can apply forces on the frags, and they will just fly away. Yeah, you have to play with the threshold value. Make sure everything's in the group, and we need to apply the forces. So again, one more dynamic set. We'll name this as forces, and in forces we can add wind, gravity. So let's start with the wind, and one more. That will be my gravity. So forces, and we need to add a go in dynamics and standard force. Actually, we don't need this operator. We need a group. So I'm gonna remove this. We need a group forces, and this forces be connected to standard force, but we can't see the standard force. So if you are using any basic generic forces, you need to bind it to thinking particles. So now let's bind it to thinking particles. I'm going to go back here, just deselect and select again, and see the wind activated. So right now it's not working because we haven't defined the forces group. So we need to add a frags into forces group. So whatever is inside forces group, it will be activated. So as you can see, the wind is getting applied on the frag group. Of course, it's right now only particles, they are not standard collision of shape. I'm gonna add a spin. Yes, let's check this out. Maybe more. Let's change. More variation. Less spin time. Phase variation. Let's check it again. Okay. Maybe 10 and reduce the phase. And later on we'll tweak that value again. Let's proceed. Next is gravity. So you can use this gravity from max, but we can create our own in thinking particles. So I'm gonna add the force group again, operators, dynamics, and force. And for this force we need a direction. So we're gonna add 0.3. So gravity always works in negative direction, so we need to change this to -1, and direction to the force. And then you can adjust the strength as per you want. Maybe a little bit variation. Now let's play this. Yeah. You can see the gravity is applied on this. So wind and gravity is working on it. So now the main important thing is shape collision. So now the fun part starts. Now is the time to get your composition very heavy. Okay, shape collision. So we don't need groups in this. You can directly add a shape collision. So there are two types of shape collision in thinking particles. You can see this one. There's one more in dynamics. I'll recommend better to use this shape collision. It's the latest one, which is more optimized, and yeah, it's better. So you can add a deflector as a floor. And a group will be, I think we need to create a group. So let's name this as shape collision. And drag these forces inside this. So whatever is inside the shape collision group will be a rigid body. Place this up. So even the floor and frags are rigid bodies. And in group, you can define shape collision. Okay, let's check. There we go. But our floor is also falling down. So we need to change one value. Go into floor shape collision dynamics and turn this to neutron. So what neutron does is it won't activate the gravity or any other forces, but it will collide. So it's like a static object with collision. And let's play this now. As you can see, it's working well, but we need to change values for this shape collision. That glued too much together. And now I should turn on the edit on the fly. It started to get a little heavy. And yeah, so I'm gonna go on my frags, shape collision dynamics, increase elasticity, which is like bounciness, dynamic friction, and static friction 20. There we go. Now there's less friction in them. Of course, this is a proxy mesh, so but at least it will be closer to what we will achieve on the text. Okay. So let's play with the wind. Can increase the turbulence, frequency, reduce the scale. So it looks like a light object has been flown away. It's not a concrete or something, so it's just peeling off the mesh. That's maybe too much. You just have to play with the values. Maybe 6. Okay, save your file, and now I think I should disable this. Okay, so there's no shape collision in this. So what I want is I want to fracture it again. So there will be 2 fractures. One is with the volume breaker again. This group will be fragmented again to another pieces, which will be more smaller pieces. So create a group, frags, which is already broken down in the volume breaker, and I'll name this as small frags. So you can keep on fragmenting as many times you want. Change the color to maybe orange yellow. Now what I'll do is let's increase this. So try to keep it simple. Don't add too much fragmentation right now. And I'm gonna need one more volume breaker, but with a condition. So this condition will be threshold condition. And what will happen is whenever this frag particles will reach certain velocity, they will be fragmented in volume breaker. So go in volume breaker at this, connect these particles, but turn on the on button so that whenever this threshold value is true, it will activate the volume breaker. So whenever the velocity reaches certain threshold, it will activate this volume breaker. And this is fair enough. So they are not activating. We need to play with the threshold value, maybe 50. And oh, I forgot something. Yes, we will be activated here as we are not using any helper. We need to activate that percentage. Yeah. So orange particles or yellow particles are the small frags group. Yes. So it's working fine now. So as you can see, after some time after certain velocity, they will be fragmented. Okay, and then shape collision, it will be a little different. So again, you have to play with the parameters. Okay. And now we can increase the fragmentation. Yes, some more particles. So all it's getting fragmented more and more. Now let's turn on the shape collision, and you can see they're getting fragmented. But I don't like this. I think it's too much, and we need to play with the values of the volume breaker. And yeah, and we need to change the elasticity and dynamic friction, as they're glued together, so we don't want that. So as soon as they fall down, they should distribute it. I'm gonna use my logo now. So we have done the basic setup. Just need to replace a proxy. So this is a mesh. Thinking particles. Go in path. Select object to particle. Remove the proxy and just pick our text. And make sure it's in the right group. Object to particle, instance shape, hide. Okay. So you can see we have the basic setup done. Okay. But if you see over here, a lot of particles already, and they're getting more broken down into smaller pieces. Yeah, but it's a very detailed simulation. But at least we can try to go closer to it. So I'm gonna select my mesh and this is I'm going to duplicate this. So one mesh will be a main mesh and second one will be a shell. So the peeling off effect will be applied on the shell mesh, and what will be revealed inside will be done in the mesh. So we need to select a shell mesh and maybe add a shell modifier. So this part will be peeling off. Maybe increase the outer amount a little bit. And then convert it to edible poly. This looks okay. So this is a shell mesh. So you can go in thinking particles, make sure you remove this and add a shell mesh. Again, right group, object to particle, hide. Okay, let's check this. I think it's working fine, but it should collide to the wrap mesh. Let's change the values first. I'm going to increase the raster. We don't want too much fragmentation right now. And I'm going to create one more group. So maybe you can call this collision. or maybe this will be a world. So whatever objects in the scene, you can just add in this group. So it will collide. So it will act like a neutron group. The color. And in birth, we need to add one more birth operator and generator, object to particle, and select a main mesh, which will be the mesh underneath logo main. Change the group to world, object to particle, instance, hide. Okay, and we need to add this in the shape collision so it collides with the particles. Again, neutron. So gravity won't affect and forces won't affect on it. So as you can see, there are not much fragments here. It's just moving randomly here. Okay. Let's unhide this. I forgot something. Let's assign a material to it. So it's better uh, later on. You don't have to do this. And I'm gonna unhide the mesh and just assign the material. So logo, main, and shell. I'll isolate this. And material editor. Name this as shell. And change the color. You can assign any material here. And this is our main. Just assign any color right now, and later on you can just replace the material here. And I'm gonna assign this materials. So shell to shell, logo main to logo. Okay, that's correct. Close this. And now we need to add one operator and thinking particles. So just add operator, material, and shape material. We'll need two copies, one for the logo shell and one for the main logo. Assign. Just drag your materials in this material slot. So this one is here. Make it as an instance. Make sure. Again, one more instance. Okay. And then we can hide now. So you can see there's different color mesh. Now it's time to fracture it more. So when dynamic fracture, we'll play with the volume breakup parameters a lot. And mainly it will be raster intensity. Smaller the raster percentage, smaller the fragments. And let's check this. Yeah. So we are started to get something close to the output, what we saw before. But of course, this is a bigger fragments. I'm going to increase the end time. And this should happen pretty slow. They're getting messed up here. The larger fragments here. I can reduce the turbulence. It's better to play. now I'll reduce it more. We'll have more particles now. Play. It started to get a little heavy. Yeah, it's actually playing. Now slowly we have to move on to the cache system and thinking particles. As you can see in this video, the particles are very small and they get broken up into more and more smaller pieces. You see? And the actual mesh, shell mesh, is already broken down a lot. So that's why we need to fracture it more. And for now, I'll just increase this a little bit so that we can actually see it a little faster, play it a little faster. Okay. And then threshold value 50, so that they go in small frag groups as early as possible. Okay. Okay. So now we'll go into forces, gravity, and maybe I think we should wind is activated, spin is there, maybe tweak the spin a little bit faster, and let's play it again. I think I have to reduce the gravity because it's falling down fast. So I'm going to force and reduce the strength to 75. Oops. Okay. This is coming out good now. I'm going to fracture it more. But again, I think it's falling down a lot. I'm gonna add a friction on the floor. They don't slide a lot, and increase the friction amount. Also, okay, small frags. And then we're bouncing a lot, so reduce it, and dynamic friction 25. Floor elasticity a little bit more, less friction. And let's play it now. And I think we should use the cache system now, so I'm going to record this, save it, just play. So it's caching now. So this caching process for my max file took me 1 day almost. So more the particles, more the details, more time. And I'm just using my i7 with 32 GB RAM and just 3 GB graphics card. So it's not like a supercomputer, but it's fair enough. I think we can cancel this now. Look at these pieces. We'll cancel this and let's play it now. 200 frames. So now it's playing really smooth as it's cached. There's a lot of particles on the floor. Maybe I can change something. 30. A little bit higher. So they fly a little on the upward direction. And okay. And the volume breaker. More particles. And cache it again. Okay, this is getting a little chaotic. Too many particles, and it's spreading a lot. We don't want that. One thing is, the previous fragmentation is with the larger chunks, and this is too much smaller. It's not going with it. I'll cancel this, and let's play it. Play with the wind. Let me first see. And shouldn't be that much. We can fragment it over here. So 1.5. Oops. 13,000. Now I can save the file and cache it. Make sure you save your file always. Yeah, a little better. Still, it's too much chaotic. And cancel this again. Sorry. Let's see. Okay. I think the wind is too strong, or maybe a helper's animation is too fast. So I'm gonna remove that. Remove my cache. And what we can do is I'm gonna unhide my mesh, this logo shell. And now we can fracture this by using a Rayfire fragmenter, maybe Voronoi. It's a modifier, or you can just use your original Rayfire system. So we will fracture this before and then add this into thinking particles, and they'll get fractured again. So we can get a nice fracturing in it. I'm going to use my array and add this in impact objects. Try different fragmentation types, it's up to you. Whichever looks good, just keep it. And not irregular, so delete this. Maybe uniform. Yeah, that might look cool, but let's increase the iterations. 210. Increase the noise strength and fracture this. We'll check how it looks, and then if not, we can just use some other fragmentation type, or maybe volume breaker. Let's see. And I'm gonna select this and make it's already there. It's a group, verify fragments. And now what we have to do is remove a mesh from this, add. So you can use your selection or select all of them. Pick. Make sure you select everything. And change the group. Object to particle, instance shape, and height. I think it's a little heavy now to calculate. There are two volume breakers and it's already fragmented. It's getting a little heavy. We need to wait. Okay, oh, that's too much. So we need to change some values. Volume breaker, we don't need this much. I'm going to come down, and as you can see, it's getting fragmented 3 times. We already fragmented in Reaper, and then 2 times volume breaker. We get more fragmented when it will move the 3rd time. So change the values. Let's see. Okay, a little better. Now I'm just playing with the raster and density, that's all. Nothing else. I'm gonna cache this again. Oops, there's some problem in the mesh. We'll figure it out in some time. What is that? But I think this fragmentation is far better than the previous one. So we can use this method, fracture it before, and then add in the thinking particles, and then fracture it again. I'm going to cancel this. Let's check this out. Okay. Yes, the fracturing is good, but there's a lot of bugs with the mesh. Black mesh coming there. So you can use another fragmentation type. It's nice, not bad. Get used to these kind of problems here. In FX, you'll always find some bugs, problems in the mesh, fragmentation problem. Anyways, so I'm gonna select all of these. Before that, I'm just checking what's the problem actually in the mesh. Because these chunks are not fragmented. So Okay, I'm going to remove my cache, select all this and just remove them. Get out of here and get back a shell. And we can just use some another method. Let's try volume breaker. This is also cool fragmenter. And I'm going to increase density, reduce raster. Yeah. And looks good. Copy and hide. Where is it? Yeah. So we'll detach all the mesh. Select it. Let's make a group called as wrap. It's a selection group. And we can add this in thinking particles. Let's try. Hope it works. And select. It's better to disable the volume breaker. It's very, very heavy. So I'm going to disable that. Increase the size. So it won't get that heavy. And we can check how much fragmentation we need. I'm going to select my group, pick, select all, or you can use another method there, use all, select it. Okay. So let's save the file, play. Something's missing. Let me check. Oh, yeah. In volume breaker, we use the helper, so we have to turn this on for the first one, especially, and cache it. Sometimes it might freeze. It will show not responding, but it's calculating. So this is how it looks. Okay, so far no mesh bugs. Looking nice. Yeah, with more fragmentation it will look really good. Okay, so I'm a little happy with this. So now we can add more details in this. As we have just turned off this volume breaker, make sure your values are not that too much. Okay, save the file, cache it again. Okay, so it's been cached now. Let's have a look. Okay, so the yellow particles which you see are getting fragmented again into smaller particles. You can actually increase that amount. This is coming up nice. Yeah, it looks good. So just keep on experimenting with this. Add more and more fragmentation. I can't do it right now here. It will take more time. But if you just simulate it for one day with that much detail, definitely you can achieve this. and it's very easy process just to fragment it, use the helper, animate it, and then fragment it again by using the velocity, and it's just a wind. So it's very easy. Hope you guys liked it, and visit my website. You'll find more tutorials and videos. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.